Hello everyone, welcome to biology class. Today we begin the chapter number 3, Kingdom Classification. This chapter will be based upon how the plants and animals around us are classified into various kingdoms, or we can say into various categories. There are different kingdoms that one by one we will study, and the organisms, that is the plants and animals, and whatever are the part of those kingdoms will be studied in details in this chapter. This chapter will be typically a long one. Today we will have a brief introduction only. The remaining part will cover in the subsequent lectures in the live classes. So today's video is only about the introduction to this chapter, that is kingdom classification. So what is the need for classification? The first question is, why is it required? So here we can read, there are nearly 30 million varieties of living organisms. Living organisms means both plants and animals and everything, all the living things. Around 30 million varieties means types of organisms are there. That means a big number is there. So if we compare all these different living organisms, are they similar? The question they are asking, are all these organisms similar or not? The answer is simple, because all of us are different. Even one person to the other person is different. You can see people on the street, all the people on the street are different from each other. Some are even taller, some are shorter, some have lighter skin color, some are darker, and so on. Many differences are there, but certain common things are also there. Like a particular group of animals will have certain common things. For example, all the human beings are having something common. A particular group of plants will have certain things common. For example, if we take rose plant, all the rose plants will be having something, that is, we can say, common characteristics. So there are certain differences, there are certain common things. Based on the common characteristic, whatever is common, based on that there are certain groups that have been formed, which are called as kingdom. So first we will learn about the definition of classification. What is called as classification? So classification here, with regard to biology, it is the scientific way of identifying, grouping and naming the living organism. Three things are done. First is we are identifying a particular kind of group, then we will form its grouping is done, that is that it's a separate kingdom is formed, and to that kingdom the name is given. How it is given? For example, a group of plants are called as kingdom Plantae. All the plants are a part of kingdom Plantae. We will just understand at the end of this lecture that different kingdoms are there in biology. All the living organisms are classified into kingdoms, and every kingdom has got a particular name. So the method of identifying, grouping and naming various living organisms is called what? It is called as classification. This definition you will mark in your book. You have to learn this. Another definition for this only, here again same thing is written. The scientific way of identifying, naming and grouping of living organism is classification. So that is the definition we have learned. What is actually done in now the classification? What is done? That is only a system of arranging the living organisms into various groups. This arrangement is done based on what? It is done based on the similarities and differences. Certain similarities are there in a particular group of animals or plants, and certain dissimilarities are also there. So based on these similarities and differences only the classification is done. One extra point is given here on the left hand side of the book. You can see in your book here, it is given in enrichment box, the branch of biology. Now in biology classification is done, so this forms a separate branch of this subject, and this branch of the biology where this classification is done, it is called what? It is called taxonomy. So you have to learn this, the branch of biology that deals with classification of organisms. It is called taxonomy, and the scientists who are involved in taxonomy, the people who are doing this work, they are called what? They are called taxonomists. The scientists, they are the scientists involved in taxonomy. So this you have to learn, taxonomy and what is taxonomist. Now we have learned about the definition of classification. The question arises, what is the basis for classification? On what base we are doing? Before learning this topic, basis of classification, we will have a simple example here given, more to know, in this left hand side paragraph. Let me zoom in for this side. So a simple example of classification we can see in the library. All the books are arranged properly. You can see in the library, in your school also, you can see different subjects book have been kept separately. All the subject book are not kept together. Every shelf is being allotted to a proper subject, or a separate subject is there for every shelf. According to that, it is arranged in the library, so that it may be easier for us to find a book. If all the books are randomly kept, any book can be kept anywhere, then it will be very tough for us to search for a book. So for making it easier to locate a book, to find a book, or to find a book on a particular topic, the library is having a proper arrangement of the books. Similarly, in the case of library, we have seen the books. Just similar to that, all the organisms, the plants, the animals, all the living organisms are also classified into various groups. Why is it done now? We don't have to find them. What actually is being done for classification? When the animals and plants are classified in separate groups, then it will be very much easier to study about them, to find out the details, or to understand about their life or their life processes. It will be very easy. So here we start the topic, basis for classification. Generally, we can say all the living organisms are classified into two main groups. One is called as plants, second one is called as animals. Many more we will study in this chapter, but two broad categories are plants and animals. How we can do so? You can see here 2 points are there with differences between the plants and animal. First is animals. You can see animals can move from one place to another. All the animals can move from one place to another, and for what they are moving? In search of food and shelter. This kind of feature, that is the movement is not observed in plants. Only the animals can move, plants cannot move. So this is the basis of difference. This shows the difference between the plants as well as the animals. Animals can move, plants cannot move. Second one here, the plants. Why the plants are also called as the separate category? That is, plants can make their own food. How they can make their own food? You have been already learning about the topic of photosynthesis. How photosynthesis is done already you know. So only the plants can do photosynthesis, but animals are dependent on plants. Animals have to eat the plant products or the leaves and all. So the animals cannot do photosynthesis, they cannot prepare their own food. If plants are not there, then animals will not get the food. So we can say animals are dependent on plants. So this is also second difference. First is animals can move, plants cannot move. Second is plants can make their food, but animals cannot make their food. Based on these two important points, we can say that all the living organisms are broadly classified into plants, and second is animals. So this is the basis for classification. Now we move on to the next topic here, that is advantages. What are the advantages of classification? Why it is so much talked about? So first advantage here, already we have seen in the example of library, that it gives a systematic and simple approach to the study of various organisms. We can study about the different living organisms in a systematic manner. It will become very easier for us to study about these different types of plants and animals. Second one is here, it helps in identifying new organisms and placing them in separate groups. New kind of plants and animals are regularly being found out on the earth, and this identification of the new plants and animals can be easily done, and it is therefore the second advantage of classification. The third one here, it generalizes the characteristics of a group so that we can understand the properties or characteristics of each member. For example, in the case of the animals, just now we have seen all the animals can move. So that is a general characteristic. So we can generalize the characteristic of a group. If we talk about a particular animal, for example, we talk about lion, then based on the property that animals can move, so lion can also move, because lion is also an animal. Similarly, another animal you can take, for example, we can take tiger now, so that is also an animal, it can also move. So all the particular members of a particular group, that is plant or animal, will have all those features. If we take the example of plants now, rose plant, rose is a plant, so it will have photosynthesis because plants are having photosynthesis. So all the plants, whatever kind of plant it is, it may be a small plant, it may be a big tree. For example, a rose plant or a neem tree. Neem tree is very big, still it is considered in the category of plants, so it will be having photosynthesis. So that is what is being told in the third point, that is, it generalizes the characteristic of the group. All the members of that particular group will have that characteristic or that property. The last one is here, it highlights the relation between various organisms and gives how the organisms are evolved from the simplest to common one, that is evolution. That topic is new for you, so we will not go into details of this. What they are actually telling here, that it is easier for us to study about the evolution. Generally it is believed that human beings, only a short introduction I am telling, the human beings have evolved from apes, that is from the apes human beings have been found. Simply we can say apes are a kind of animals just similar to monkeys. So from the apes human beings have been found. How it has been done, that when we study about this, it becomes easier if we know about the classification pattern. So this topic you will study in higher classes. Let us leave this here. Next here, so what we have done just now is advantages. So basically in these 4 points what they are telling, first is study is very easier, study of various organism is very easier. Second, we can identify new organism and put them in separate groups. Third is that each member of the particular group will have certain characteristics that can be easily studied by the classification method. Last one is there, we can understand how the organisms are evolved. These are the 4 basic advantages of classification. We will now move on to the next heading that is given here. It is history of classification. First time the classification was done by these 2 people. First is Aristotle. You will learn this. Aristotle was the first person to classify animals. Yes, animals were classified into various groups first time by Aristotle. And what was his basis? He has simply done it on the basis of visible characteristic. He has not gone deeper, or he has not seen the internal organs or the behavior and all. He has just observed the visible characteristic, like the absence of presence of red blood is red in color or not. He has seen of those animals. Then he has seen whether the body covering is, that is the skin is hard or skin is soft, like this, all those things which are easily visible to us. Based on that he classified the different animals. You don't have to learn all these things, just you learn the name. The first person was Aristotle to classify animals. Second one here is his pupil, means his student. Aristotle's student, his name was Theophrastus. Theophrastus was the first to classify plants. So animals were classified first time by Aristotle and plants were classified first time by Theophrastus. So Theophrastus classified the animals and he gave 3 categories of the plants. One is herbs, second is shrubs, and third is trees. So this was done on the basis of their size. Herbs are the smallest, then shrubs, and then the trees are the largest. So this is what was done by Theophrastus. Now Theophrastus also seen the size, that is also visible, what is being seen. Aristotle saw the visible characteristics of animals. Theophrastus saw the visible characteristics of the plants, but they have not gone deeper, or they have not seen the internal structure of these plants or animals. So because of this we can say what the classification is done by Aristotle and what is this classification done by Theophrastus, that is called as artificial system of classification. Both the above mentioned by the Aristotle and the Theophrastus classification is called as artificial system of classification. Why is it called? Because they are based on artificial characteristics and they have not seen the internal structure or the function. Artificial characteristics means what? Artificial means the visible characteristics only. They have not seen the internal organs or the functions of those different body parts of those plants and animals. So artificial system of classification. Also we can ask who gave the artificial system of classification. Answer you will tell Aristotle for animals and Theophrastus for plants. So that is just the history of classification. After that, this Aristotle and Theophrastus were not so much successful in classification. So later on, here we begin the first type of classification, that is we can say taxonomy. It was done by Linnaeus. His full name is Carolus Linnaeus. Here you can see his photograph is given. So Carolus Linnaeus was the first person to classify the organisms into two main categories or two main kingdoms. Because he was the first person to do this work in the taxonomy, he is called as father of taxonomy. You learn this thing. Father of taxonomy is Carolus Linnaeus. So Carolus Linnaeus did this in 1758 and he gave two kingdom classification. So he classified the organisms. All the living organisms were classified into two main kingdoms. First kingdom was what? First kingdom was kingdom Plantae. Kingdom Plantae, what is it having? It is having all the plants. All the plants which can prepare the food on their own. Only those plants which can do photosynthesis. Yes, certain categories are there which cannot do photosynthesis. We will study just now. Second category of the two kingdom classification was kingdom Animalia. Both the names you learn. First is kingdom Plantae, second is kingdom Animalia. Animalia contains what? It contains all the animals, and these animals depend on plant directly or indirectly for their food. So these are the two categories given by Linnaeus. We'll move on now. Next one here. Just now I told there are certain plants which do not prepare their food. Example is given here. Euglena. Euglena is an organism. We will not say plant. It is an organism. It is having chlorophyll just like in the plants. Plants are having chlorophyll and they do photosynthesis. But Euglena is such an organism. It is having chlorophyll. Still, it will not do photosynthesis. It is not doing photosynthesis. So what we will say? We cannot put it under plants because it is not doing photosynthesis. We cannot put it under animals because animals can move, but Euglena cannot move. So Euglena is neither plant nor animal. Then it leads to confusion now. So this question was asked to Linnaeus, where Linnaeus gave two kingdom classification. He said one group is plant, one group is animal. Then the question was asked, what about Euglena? Euglena does not do photosynthesis, so it is not a plant. Euglena cannot move, so it is not an animal. Then which group you will put? You say only two kingdoms are there. So therefore in this point he failed. He failed to categorize these kind of organisms. Second one are viruses. Viruses are also non-living particles. They are all non-living particles. All the viruses are non-living, and when they enter any living being body, for example, if any virus will enter any human being body, then it becomes living. Yes, that is the speciality of viruses. Viruses are all non-living particles, and when they enter any living organism, for example, they enter any human being body or they enter any animal's body, then they will become living organisms. So they are behaving in two manners. They are also non-living as well as living. Non-living when they are not in any other organism's body, then they are non-living. When they enter any living person or living animal's body, then they also become living thing. So this question was asked, where you will put viruses now? Euglena. Just like Euglena, viruses also cannot be put in animals or plants. So there in these two questions, Euglena and viruses, about these Linnaeus cannot give any answer. He cannot put this in kingdom plant or kingdom Animalia. Therefore the two kingdom classification failed. Later on, furthermore developments were done in the field of taxonomy. What is taxonomy? We have seen now. That is the system of classification. So furthermore classifications were done over a period of time, and subsequently more and more theories came, and there were many shortcomings that were there, and all of them failed. But the most successful of the biology one, that was five kingdom classification. The five kingdom classification, now the name is telling how many kingdoms are there now. There are five kingdoms in which all the living organisms have been categorized. What are those five kingdoms? One is Monera. Here the names only we are telling. First is Monera, second is Protista, third is fungi, fourth is plant, and the fifth one is Animalia. So apart from the plants and animals, three more kingdoms are there, so as to allow all the living organisms to be part of certain category. This 5 kingdom classification we will study in detail in the upcoming class. In the next class we will study about this. So today what we have learned, I will go through a recap just now. First we have seen why the classification is done, what is the definition of classification, what is taxonomy, that we have learned. The people or the scientists who are doing taxonomy are called taxonomists. Then we have learned the basis of classification. The basis is the classification is done in two main categories, the plants and animals. Animals can move, plants cannot move, and they can do photosynthesis. Then we saw the 4 advantages of classification. Then just now we have seen the history of classification about Aristotle and Theophrastus and why they failed because of the artificial system of classification. Lastly, we have seen the two kingdom classification given by father of taxonomy. Who is the father of taxonomy? That is Carolus Linnaeus, because he gave the kingdom classification for the first time. Later on he failed because he cannot tell about the position of Euglena and viruses. Then came the 5 kingdom classification later on. What is this 5 kingdom classification? We will be studying in the online classes that will be going live from the upcoming week. So that is all for this present class. See you in the next class.